welcome to the DMV Roundtable podcast. I am your host, Jose Barreto, and in today's episode, I am joined by Maty Bradbury of My Dream Team Real Estate. How are you, Maty?
Fantastic, Jose. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for joining me on the podcast. I know that you've been busy lately. I've been watching you because, you're one of my first students from Listing Key.
I'm your prodigy.
Yeah, you're awesome.
Yes.
So I know you quite a bit, but I want my listeners to get to know you a little bit. So let's just go ahead and start with you telling me a little bit about yourself personally, like where you're from, or where you grew up, all that good stuff. Talk to me.
So my name is Maty Bradbury. I'm actually originally from Houston, Texas, so
Okay.
H-Town,
Ooh.
and yeah.
You were
loved
born
it.
in Houston.
I was born in
think
Houston.
I knew that.
Well, there you go. See,
Oh, there you go.
another little wrinkle in your brain.
Some new stuff. Come on.
So yeah, I moved to Chicago when I was a preteen,
Okay.
and I love the city. Huge culture shock, but it was a huge learning lesson for me. And that's where the name My Dream Team comes from. I was there when Chicago Bulls in the era,
No way.
Yeah, I would, we couldn't afford to go to the games, but like every game we were there as a family watching, Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan, Tony Kukoc,
Oh,
the
wow.
dream team for
Okay.
5,
Wow.
straight wins. So,
I figure Houston, it would be the Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon. But
No,
anyway.
no, it was Chicago.
The Dream Team.
The
Okay.
Dream Team, yeah. So, and then I went to school in Michigan, and then came back. Lived in Kentucky after college. I worked for the first marketing firm. I did direct sales,
Okay.
business to business, door to door, which was actually the foundation of what I do now. Like, it helped me out so much.
Okay.
How to, talk to people and, just get going, right? The
Right.
excitement. And it taught me work ethic and a positive attitude.
Awesome.
And then after that, I went back to Chicago. At that point, I got married and started having
Wait,
a family.
you met your husband in Chicago?
No, I met my husband in Kentucky. He followed me to Chicago, yeah.
Okay.
And
Okay.
he's a keeper,
All
He
right.
stayed true to me
All right.
from the beginning.
Now, when was this? When did you
This
guys
was,
meet?
we met in 2006.
Okay.
And then in 2007, we made the move to Chicago.
Okay.
Like that 4th of July weekend. My mom was ill, and so I had to come back home.
Okay.
And I was like, I got to wrap up everything that I had business going on there. And he was like, I'm going with you. I was like, well, that wasn't part of the plan. But I'm like, okay, let's
But
go.
you guys weren't married yet, right?
We weren't married
Okay.
at the time,
Okay.
So, we relocated. Luckily, it was home to me. And we got married like within a year, less than a year later.
Okay.
Less than a year later. And I was working for a mortgage broker at the time.
Okay.
And, I was applying the skills of sales and marketing that I did on direct sales.
Okay.
But this time I challenged myself to do it over the phone. So I was
Right.
calling people to like excite them. And the brokerage was tied up with a real estate
So
office.
you were doing phone sales?
Yes,
for
I
the
was
mortgage
doing for
company?
the mortgage company,
Gotcha.
yes.
In 2007?
In 2000, right before
It
the
was
bubble burst.
ready
Yeah.
to burst.
But like during that 1 year, it was really successful.
Okay.
And they were like, they were really good to me. And but I always liked the real estate side. I really I liked it a lot. I liked the mobility portion of it. But I tried to take the test, and unfortunately, I failed.
Oh, so you tried to be an agent?
I did
In Chicago?
In Chicago,
Oh, okay.
and I failed the test, and I just had a lot going on. I think it just wasn't, and it wasn't in God's time, right? It's not in the time, so
Right.
it wasn't my time at the point.
Okay.
So then I started working for a company. I'm like, well, now that I have a family, I got to start making more, money, and I started working for a for-profit university.
Okay.
So it's private sector, but I was the recruiting agent. And one of the things that I was able to apply that I learned from direct sales is like start talking to people. And then what I did with the mortgage, like get on the
People
phone.
skills.
People skills,
People skills,
and
yeah.
start listening to them. That was the biggest thing. But when it came to like college recruitment, you invited them, you asked them, you found out their whys,
Right.
and you start forming a plan, and you educate them on their options.
Mhm.
And then it's not like they're investing $1. Like it's thousands of dollars in their education.
Yeah.
And then back in the day, we were graded on, did they finish the program?
Okay.
If they didn't finish, then you're not really great at what you do.
Really?
Yes.
That's how you were graded?
That's how I was graded.
Okay.
Annually.
So it wasn't just the sheer number of people you brought in?
No, it's how. So I had to follow up with them throughout
That's
the
actually
entire.
not bad.
I mean,
That's actually
everything
not bad.
happens for a reason,
Right,
right?
right.
So, because that's what I do now.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
So I got to follow up with everybody that I met with.
Right.
Like, talk to me, what's going on? But anyway, so that's what happened. I was there. So I had come and visited family here. I visited Jenny, and our grandmother was ill at the time, and I fell in love with Woodbridge.
So you had family in this area.
I did.
Okay.
I had family in this area, and they are like, we're having a family emergency. We would invite you to, I would suggest you come and visit, and say your goodbyes just in case something happens.
Right.
So married with the little one, we drive out here, and we fell in love with Virginia. And we're like, you know what, this is it. Like, this is going to be our next home.
Okay.
So I never felt like Chicago was my home.
What about your husband? Did he feel the same way?
He did, because he comes from a military background.
Okay.
So for him, this was a really good opportunity, getting closer to his military roots. So
how old was your son at the time?
my son was a year and a half.
A year and a half.
A year and a half.
Okay.
And so I went back to my employer, and I talked to HR. I was like, if you guys ever get anything out there, because it was a private university, but it was corporate, so they had many different campuses, and so all across the nation. And so I said, if you ever open one in Virginia, like, let me know. I'm one of your first people there. And the guy was like, it's so funny. There's going to be one opening in Woodbridge, Virginia. I was like,
wow.
Game. I'm like, I just
Talk
came
about
from
meant
there.
To be.
Right. And so I was like, hey, I'm there, He was like, well, give me like about 6 months. Make sure your numbers are great and be the contender. And so sure enough, 6 months came. I stayed on top of it. And they were like, yeah, we want you. Like, we want you to open the campus in Woodbridge. You were seasoned enough. Let's do it. So ever since I moved here in 2012. And I stayed in Prince William County. I've always lived in Prince William County.
Okay.
I've always stayed.
Yeah, because I know you're there now.
That's my county, right?
Okay.
Second largest county.
Yeah.
So, I'm proud of it.
Okay.
So I stay there. So ever since I've been here, I think it's going to be 9 years this May that I've been here. Only 1 year I worked in Annandale. Everything else I've worked has been there in the Woodbridge, Dumfries area, somewhere there. And so I know the community. Like, I know the people. I know the same students that I help recruit are the same ones calling me, like, you're an agent. I got my job now. I can afford, to buy a house and stuff. So
all those connections you made also translated.
Absolutely.
And friendships and stuff like that. So.
Yeah. So it's so good. Like, I remember you keep, I was not a fan of social media when I first started real estate. Not at all. But anyway, getting off topic.
But you are now.
I mean, do you see it? Like,
yes, I do.
Yeah,
I watch it all the time.
Every time I post, I try to make you proud.
You do.
I try to make
Trust
you proud.
me, you do.
But anyway, I about 5 years ago, there was a big change in my life, and I had to really check myself and say, okay, what do you want to do?
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to do? And so I'm one of those agents that transitioned from a corporate job, a career that I had for 10 years. And I had to make that decision to walk away, to be on my own.
Yeah.
But what really led me to it is the last 3 years when I was starting to get my license, studying for the tests and so forth, is that I had a mentor. And she gave me the opportunity. She's like, I believe in your skill. I know you care. We need to grow this particular program.
Okay.
And after a year and a half, you know how you look at the numbers after a year and a half, of your overhead and stuff, and like, we were able to track that the program increased by 95%.
Okay.
And we're like, wow, like, that's huge. Owners had never seen that before. And I like to know that I played a role in it. But she was like, as great as you did, and I'm so proud of you, I can't give you a raise.
Okay.
The money, the school doesn't have money to give you a raise.
Right.
What I took out of it is the experience that I gained out of it, the confidence. I knew that I could market.
Right.
I could prospect.
Right.
I can meet with the students,
right.
Explain the situation, like present.
Connect, which is...
Yes, huge, right?
Yes.
And then be able to make it into a profit. I could do this for myself.
Right.
Right? And so that was my eye-opener, like, okay, let's do it. No more talking, let's do it, right? Okay. So I got licensed in 2019.
Yeah, because we're about to get into My Dream Team.
Yeah,
so
I got licensed.
Take me through your journey in real estate.
So I got licensed in 2019 in July, and then I surrendered my license here at Listing Key, right? You know, in August 2020, had an amazing training of, listing presentations hammered in my head. And I will tell you...
You still have nightmares about that?
No, not at all, because I think like a homeowner. That's how I win offers. Because I think like a homeowner. Good. Right? Like, and that was the whole gist of it.
Right.
So I was like, oh, that makes sense. But anyway, and then I wanted to go, when you start to face your fears, your vision has, your inner voice starts to start screaming at you. Mm-hmm. And it has its own vision.
Right.
And I was like, okay, I know my county. I know this area. I could go sell everywhere.
Right.
But I would make more of an impact if I farm, if I am the go-to person in my area.
Right.
So, and as a new agent, you got to find ways to save money.
Of course.
So I was like, let me start looking around.
Mm-hmm.
And I had bumped, this lady. It was so ironic because before I got licensed, I was her neighbor. I was, her brother was my neighbor, and he had referred me to her.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I like her philanthropy, giving back to the community. So I'm like, okay, let me try it.
Okay.
Met with them. But then COVID happened. But she liked to educate. So every Thursday we have a team meeting. So she brings people, and we were Zooming it. And it was the same people every single meeting. And there was this one girl, I was like, who is this girl? And when I got a chance to meet with her, in this industry, I feel like when you're in a group with a lot of realtors,
mm-hmm.
you're either their competition or they welcome you to the fraternity of realtors.
Right.
Those are the two you get, right?
Right.
And she was very heartwarming.
Okay.
Like, she's like, welcome, this and that. And I was like, oh, that was very nice, like.
That's always good.
It
Find
is.
people like that in our business that doesn't see you as competition. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's enough business for everyone.
Of course.
So, and I was nice, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I told her, I kind of knew her story a little bit, and she had been part of a team, and I had been part of a team. But for her, she had like a really rough part. She was like, I just don't want to split things. I kind of want to do things on my own. No worries. So I told her, I was like, what, we don't need a partner, but let's collab. At least we should create synergy.
Right.
Like, are you making calls? Because
mm-hmm.
I would like to make calls, but it's always easier when you can make calls with another person, right?
Right.
So we did. And it started to grow. And then after that, and this is another thing that comes across in our business, because you can be you're an entrepreneur. This
mm-hmm.
is your business.
Right.
And sometimes it's really easy to get a little bit greedy, and you're like, you're working for me.
Right.
I never presented myself to her as working for me. Let's work together.
Right.
50-50 on everything.
Right.
Let's do it. And
this was earlier this year.
And
right? Early in 2020.
Yes, this was
into COVID.
Yeah,
okay.
So the market started opening in phase 2,
right.
and so now the office was open,
right.
and so we would go and we'd make phone calls and stuff, and it was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And and she was really welcoming all the time, and when we would come in, we started kind of hanging out, let's go and canvas.
Right.
That was the thing. And when we would come to the office, they were like, the girls are here. And I didn't like being called the girls. I was like, you mean the dream team is here, right? The dream team is here. And so then she was like, well, your name is Maty and I'm Janet, so why don't we call it M.Y Dream Team? My Dream Team. And that's how it was born.
Yeah, which I love the name.
Thank you.
That's why I wanted to bring it up, because
yes.
I really love the name.
Yes.
It's both your initials,
yes.
and it spells My Dream Team.
50-50.
It's perfect.
And when I was during the pandemic,
What's her name again?
Janet. So it's Janet Ramirez.
Janet Ramirez.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
she's the Y in the My Dream Team.
She is the Y, yes. And she is definitely she's the negotiator.
Okay.
Of the team.
Okay.
Don't let her size fool you.
Uh-huh.
She is tough at negotiations.
Okay.
No. This
one day I'll meet her. One day
you'll
bring her to one of these.
And the thing is, she's like, I'm not the talker. You're the talker. You can go.
We'll make her talk.
Absolutely.
We'll make her talk. Between the two of us, come on.
She
can
just
make
dropped me
anybody
off.
talk.
As a matter of fact, she dropped me off. I was like, come on.
That's
She was like,
come
no,
on.
it's okay. We got to go to the office. I've got a client coming in. I'm like, okay, that's fine.
Next time, by the way, you have to come. You have an invite for the next one.
That's awesome. I'll let her know. She'll hear it on the podcast. She was listening to the other podcast earlier today. So.
Okay.
So anyway, but what really solidified everything is that my parents always taught me work ethic and a positive attitude, integrity. Those are the two things you can't really teach. Either you have it, you're raised into it,
sure,
or you don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
So one day I was in the office when the market opened. I wanted to be in the office every day.
Right.
Okay, so I was in the office every day, and I told the broker and the assistant, I was like, if you need anything, I'm here. I'll be your runner. I just need experience, right? So she had just had a listing that had sold in 3 days. So I told, Janet, I was like, hey, you want to canvas the area? Let's farm. You know what I mean?
Right.
We have nothing to lose. So we made the packets together, and we went. And it was townhouses. It was 200 townhouses.
200 townhouses.
Okay? And we didn't leave it at the banister.
No.
We went up to the door.
Did you not?
No, we didn't knock at the time.
Okay.
It was hard,
Yeah.
it was pandemic and everybody was scared. So we just hung that stuff up. But the last row of houses, this is August. It's so hot. And my legs were buckling at the very last row of townhouses.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, oh my God, I'm so exhausted. And her little legs picked up. And I'm like, oh no, she can't, like, I gotta keep up. I can't cop out right now. But that right there was like, if I want to tap out, she'll carry.
Right.
And vice versa.
Right.
And she challenged me.
Or she'll push you.
And she challenged me. Yeah. And she challenged me. And that right there was like, this is meant to be.
That's good teamwork.
Yeah, that was great teamwork. And to this day, you know, every decision is 50-50. Let's talk about it. You know. So,
great.
Yeah,
so that's awesome. I'm glad that you found something that works for you, and you know, a good partnership.
Yeah.
Which they're hard to come by the way.
Yeah.
Because you have to find somebody that complements you. That's not exactly like you. So that's good.
I agree. She's really great on the back end with like making sure that the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted in the business. And then I love the marketing aspect of it, the front part of it. And so we come together. But now this year we did our vision boards, and our theme is leveling up with a purpose. So, you know, she is breaking into the marketing aspect, and I'm breaking into the back end now. So I'm like,
let's get uncomfortable.
Yeah, let's get uncomfortable. We have to, right? And then we just have a new team member that just got added. So, you know, so it's growing, and we'll see, you know, but that's the theme, leveling up with a purpose.
I have no doubt that you guys are going to be amazing.
Thank you.
You're going to continue to grow. So, okay, so I know that you mentioned Prince William County, but what is that the only area that you're focusing on?
No.
What areas do you cover?
So, you know, we have clients like in Springfield, down south.
Okay.
Okay, so like Springfield, that area, and but anywhere from like Prince William County. Prince William County is huge, but also Stafford County and Spotsylvania County.
Okay.
So we go down south.
Okay. All right. That's good. All right, so talk to me about first-time home buyers. What do you like about them? I put people on the spot on this podcast because I want to hear what you like. You know what and how you help. Especially first-time home buyers are a very unique group. So talk to me. What are your thoughts about first-time home buyers?
So first-time home buyers. Number one, the reason this means a lot to me, especially working with first-time home buyers, I haven't purchased a home since I've been in Virginia, because at first I didn't know if I was going to set roots here. Okay.
Right.
So I know what it feels like to talk to an agent.
Right.
And then go through like the lending process.
Right.
And because I lost my home in Chicago when I first wanted to buy, my debt to income ratio was high. So they tossed me to the side, like, you're too much of a risk.
Oh, okay.
And I know how that feels.
Right.
And I think there's a lot of people out there that's the reason why they hate talking to realtors.
Sure.
Because they don't want to be hyped up to just be let down.
Right. Right.
So
they're nervous. People, especially first-time home buyers, don't know if they're going to get rejected, and that part of rejection it's pretty tough.
You know, and like I think we were talking about earlier, you know, you're dealing with two top needs in a person's life: their home, shelter, and their money.
Right.
Right. So you got to take that into consideration. That's the psychology when I talk to people. Like, I understand this is everything.
Right.
Okay, let's take you. So how I do things with first-time home buyers, I have a packet, a first-time home buyer packet that we've created. It's personalized with my dream team on it. Right. It goes over the vocabulary, it goes over the process, it goes over the people that we're going to be working with, because unfortunately I'll be walking side by side with you, with the team will at least, but there's going to be a lender, there's going to be a title person. I mean, there's going to be other people, right? So I just need to make sure that we are all on the same page. So when I'm prospecting a call, great, let's set up a meeting. They come. I know that if they come to the office, they're there. Because if you make the time to come, then you want it. We just need to figure out how to get there.
That's right.
Right? So, or we Zoom it. But when I do that, I have the lender on standby too.
Okay.
So, you know, our home buyer consults consist of, I actually work with Don Gay still from, Fairway Financial.
Yeah, I love Don.
I mean, he's the one person that I never have to chase.
Yep.
He's on it.
No, he's on it.
And so,
and he has a lot of good experience with first-time home buyers and the programs and the down payment assistance program and things like that.
Exactly. So Don, we Zoom together, we schedule them. So our goal as a team, we do 2 to 3 buyer consultations every week, because we have a goal that we have to hit, and we had to break it down. Like every week we have to have this many.
Right.
So we'll Zoom it, or they come in, and then we Zoom Don, or if they have their own lender or whatnot. Right. And we go over. We need to know the financial piece. It's very important to know where we're at with that. Right. Because we can strategize, and we'll get to that later. Right. But then we go over the process. Biggest question that first-time home buyers get is like, who pays you? Yeah. Like, do I have to pay you? Right. No, you don't pay us. Right. It's the seller that pays. You know, like no. You know, so we go over all those questions. But we like to get down to the why. Why are we here? Why now? Right. What's going on? Right. And that part of connectivity, people don't forget that. Right.
No, if you connect with them, if you understand them, if you truly care about why they're doing what they're doing, I think that's the best way to go.
And I feel like no matter what, and the follow-up is key after that. But,
Right.
So when we start going over what they're looking for, their criteria, their wish list,
Right.
I always tell them there's a wish list and then there's your non-negotiables.
Right.
The non-negotiables will take place once we start seeing properties.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Because then you get to see the inventory.
The narrowing down.
And the narrowing down, right?
Uh-huh.
But in the beginning, when we're getting their wish list, Janet's already on her laptop putting together their criteria. So by the time we're done, they get the lender information and they have a list of homes already in their inbox.
Okay.
That's how we do it. You
Right.
know what I mean? And then we follow up.
And
Like,
then
let's
you
go
follow
see
up.
it. Let's go see the houses, right? And we go from there.
Yeah.
And that's
Great teamwork.
Yeah, it works. And I remember you telling me, like, it's so much easier when there's a team.
Right. It's
Because-
always easier when there's a team.
Yeah, because
And also it's better for your clients because you're providing value. When you have a team, you're ensuring that nothing's going to fall through the cracks. We've talked about real estate, how there are many phases to a real estate transaction. You have the marketing piece, you have the negotiating piece, you have the administrative work, and not one agent doing everything. It's a little tough.
I take my hat off to all of those that are solo agents.
Yeah.
Because it is a lot.
It's a lot.
And it's a very lonely business.
Right.
Because 1 minute you can be on cloud 9 with your performance and your production and like clear to close. Okay, great. And then an hour later,
You get smacked back down to earth.
and right. And that high and low,
Yeah.
it's hard unless you have someone to vent to.
That's right.
And no one knows what it's like to be in this business other than another realtor.
Okay.
Because
Nice.
even if your family loves you,
Mm-hmm.
they don't know it.
No,
They don't get it.
It's different when you're venting to another agent.
Yeah.
Because they know exactly where you're coming
Right.
from. And they can actually help you and give you
Absolutely.
their perspective and maybe see something that you're not seeing. Because when you're in it, it's hard to step back and see maybe where you could fix the problem. So,
Yeah.
you having a partner, it's
Makes a big difference.
it's good having a team.
Yeah, it is. So
Good.
we're good. We're
Awesome.
good. And so that's how that weeks, with the the first time home buyers. Most of our business, I actually right before when the pandemic, I was listening to NVAR, when all the associations were giving all those classes and so forth. And one of the things that they said is that the statistics showed that female home buyers was like leading the market.
Mm-hmm.
And we did the math, and all our clients have been women.
Is that right?
All the women.
Okay.
They've all been women.
Yeah.
And it's so funny, and I think, I don't know if it's just the way that we think, how we're like programmed, but like we want to be, and this millennials too, taking the lead,
Yep.
It's like, teach me, don't tell me,
Mm-hmm.
teach me.
Right.
And I'm part, I think we're all part millennial, right? Because we want to do the same thing too.
Yeah.
And so we go over it step by step. And, even with the good and the bad, here, and I am a big believer, I don't present a problem until I present you the solutions.
The solutions. Okay.
Okay, at least A, B, and C.
Right.
You make the final call because I work for you.
Right.
But I want you to know your decision,
Okay.
your options. And, and that's how it works. And I think that this helped us succeed.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Good. All right. Move on to sellers then.
Oh my gosh.
Tell me about sellers. What do you have? What does your My Dream Team have to offer to sellers?
So for sellers, it's, really, it's a whole different ballgame,
Mhm.
right? For sellers, their biggest thing from what I've experienced is money.
Mm-hmm.
It's an investment for them, right? How much am I going to get from my investment?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's them closing their chapter. And we have so many more I know we're low in inventory, but, many people with the pandemic, they actually
understand that.
It's okay. It's all
But
right.
the
It's
seller-
the phone, of course.
Yes, no, it's just my phone's going crazy. Bixby starts to like open up, and
That's
I'm
a-
not
that's
even
a good
talking to her. They're listening to me. So back with sellers, with the pandemic, people being more at home, people realized they either need a bigger place
Mhm.
because it was too small with everybody at home,
Right.
and now they're working from home,
Right.
and the kids are in school at home.
Right.
So they want to close that chapter as quick as possible and get to the next.
Right.
But they're kind of seasoned. They know what they want. I like they know what they want. They're very specific.
Mm-hmm.
So we go into it, and their biggest thing is I just want to make sure that the financing does not fall through.
That's right.
And so that's our biggest thing.
And the home inspection.
Absolutely.
I mean, sometimes like in this market, you're having a lot of buyers waiving home inspection, but you still have home inspection, in some of the listings, right?
Yes. So again, it's going back to the why and
Mm-hmm.
connecting with the seller. Why are we wanting to sell?
Mm-hmm.
And their reasons may be different. And then circumstances, if you've paid attention or if you've been on top of your home and given it TLC throughout the time, perfect, right? But if you've purchased this home 10 years ago and you really haven't done much maintenance to it, before we move forward in changing paint colors or anything like that, let's run a home inspection.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's cheap. It's not expensive, and what you save or what you could potentially save, it's incredible. And you could offer it up too, upfront to potential buyers. I have a home inspection if you want to look at it.
Yeah.
Before you make an offer.
Absolutely. And it makes it so much smoother because at the end of the day, we all want a smooth transaction.
That's right.
Wish that was always the case, right? But it happens. So anyway, I think it's preparation. It's a lot more preparation when you're selling.
That's right.
And so it's just going over the preparation piece, and you want to save as much money as possible, and I get that.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be more stern. I have to be more stern as a realtor. Excuse me, I'm talking as a realtor, but we have to be very realistic because sometimes what we think our home is worth is really not. The market drives the price of your home.
That's right.
So, but if you really know how to do those comps and really bring the facts to the table, then you really are giving them option A, B, and C.
Right, that's right. It brings you back to the beginning when you first started about the listing presentation, right?
Listen, it all comes down to the listing presentation.
If you go with a very good listing presentation and it's all there. It's all there.
I agree.
Right?
I agree.
All right, so let's go ahead and talk marketing now. So your sellers. So what do you do to obviously that listing presentation that we were talking about? You show them what you're going to do as far as marketing. What do you typically offer in terms of marketing a property?
Oh, for the marketing property, well, the biggest thing is the social media. Social media is so huge right now, right? Mm-hmm. It's huge. It's also being able to invite their friends to their listings. I remember all. It all goes back to the basics of your teaching. But marketing is really huge. Another thing is the mega open house, right? That coming soon. That we're strategizing and putting everything together.
You've done those already?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's worked. I mean, it was successful. I think within the first day, we already had like 3 offers on the first day, and then by the weekend, I always told the client, this is going to be, you can price it right where you want it to be, or we can just go just a percentage lower, and we get more people, right? And right now, it's such a drive it up. And I was like, but we'll put a deadline. Because if we accept the first offer, you might be really missing out on a lot of great opportunities. Right.
Put it on the market on a Thursday, give it all weekend, deadline Monday.
Absolutely.
Do a mega open house on Sunday. Canvas the neighborhood.
Yeah.
You're doing that too?
Absolutely. So what we're doing now too is for every home that we've either we've worked on, we've canvassed the neighborhood. Okay. Like, we helped your neighbor get into the neighborhood, or we sold his house in your neighborhood, and so forth. And so and that's like a monthly thing because I know that farming takes a while. So our company is doing it right now, from now all the way to 5 or 6 months from now, because when it gets hot.
That's
remember my face, right?
Yeah.
Let's do it. So it's all thinking plan. So we did our business plan, and marketing was huge. So the 3 pillars of marketing that is helping our business right now, when we looked at everything, it was obviously our sphere of influence is huge.
Yep.
Social media is another one. So we make sure that we're posting. And now my partner is actually posting now. So we did the My Dream Team page now. We opened it up and everything. And so, we're close to 300. So it's growing. So every week, we're like, okay, let's up the ante a little bit more. What can we do to drive the likes? And then we also are, we said farming, we said social media, and so lead prospecting. So we actually had been our brokerage had been working with this company who was doing leads, and they had their own ISAs that would set the appointments for you and call. Right. But the good thing is that you can go into the CRM system and look at all the leads in your bucket. Right. Yep. And so within a month, I had 120 leads. So I started calling. You
have to follow up with
them. Oh, I do all the time. And so those are the ones. So
you're doing reverse prospecting too?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Got to do reverse
absolutely.
prospecting. Got to email those agents that have people that have been looking in that neighborhood. Things like that.
I learned that too. Yeah.
You got to do that too.
Yeah, I had to teach that too. So my partner, she's like, "What is that?" I was like, "Girl, let me tell you, it is like the best way."
Look at you.
I mean, I'm a sponge. I had a really good teacher.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Oh, you're awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's great. So let's talk about market conditions right now. We're still a seller's market, right? Okay, so
into
what
it.
are you seeing out there? Do you think that this coming spring we're going to see an increase in properties hit the market?
I think we are going to see an increase in more properties. I
Mhm.
definitely do think so. I think that there's so many changes going on even in the last month
Right.
that people are now either going to be on edge a little bit more or they're
Right.
going to be more relaxed, right? Their future has changed,
Right.
right? And so we're starting to see a change in the stock market.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and so we're starting to see a drive up on the interest rates.
Right.
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 And
We're gonna see that.
Yeah.
That's gonna happen.
And
I mean,
it's already happening. Or like the week, I love Instagram because I follow big people like influencers. And there's a lady. She's in this building.
In this building?
Yeah, Jolene
Okay.
Moore. She
Okay.
does mortgages.
Okay.
And I listen to her all the time because her marketing is spectacular and she's always given insight.
Right.
And so anyway, I do think that we're going to have more. I mean, we have aggressively.
I think there's such an amazing opportunity for people to buy right now, and I feel like people who don't buy right now, and then once the rates go up, I think they're going to regret it. I don't know that we go back. I mean, I don't have a crystal ball.
Mm-hmm.
I never pretend to, but I find it really hard to believe that we'll ever get to this low in terms of interest rates.
Yeah, it's in
It's
history.
really low. It's almost free money right now.
And listen, when I hear that there's counties that can provide a point less,
yeah,
I'm like, you can be.
Yeah, you have an example, right?
Yeah,
Trying when what? Tell me, what was it?
So they were at an interest rate conventional loan for 2.875, right? That was the interest rate that they were, that they are under. And then if you want to live in Loudoun County or Fairfax County, they have county programs for first-time home buyers that they can actually lower the interest rate by a point.
Right.
So you can be walking in 1.875.
1 point. Wow.
It's unbelievable. In one of the top counties of Virginia.
It's unbelievable.
Right? And so
it's crazy.
Yeah. So I had these clients, and they were first-time home buyers, and they had gotten pre-approved somewhere else, and when I looked at all the money they're putting in, and I think that right now this is the thing, the mindset for a buyer, you want to keep as much capital as possible, just like the sellers are doing. Homeowners,
right?
They want to keep as much capital as possible because we just never know. Cash is king right now, right?
Right.
So,
that's right.
And so if you can save, it takes a home buyer a long time, blood, sweat, and tears to save that money for your home, right? For your down payment or your closing costs, because that's another thing we need to really. I educate my buyers on, my first-time home buyers. We are in a seller's market, which means there's no negotiating in prices.
That's right.
There is no negotiating on closing costs. It is your responsibility right now. Okay, So we need to have that on reserves, right?
Yep.
Okay. So, and that determines everything, right? Your affordability, and that determines everything.
Right.
So let's work backwards so that we can get to the win, right?
Nice.
So, so anyway, going back to the 1.875, it's huge. It's a huge advantage for buyers. And for sellers, I do think that, this is the time. And for all agents, this is the perfect time to either get great at listing houses, because you are losing on a great opportunity if you're not a listing agent.
Right.
You're driving it.
Always.
I mean, and it's not easier. This was my misconception. I thought, man, listing agents have it so easy. And you don't.
No.
Like when you have 35 offers.
When you have if you have a system in place and a team in place, it can become easier, but it's never easy. Like it's not an easy. Because the process you have to stay on top of those buyers and buyer agents. There are so many moving parts: the lender, the home inspector, the appraiser. You go on, and there's so much that you have to really watch. There's no way that it's easy. But if you have a good team and you have a good process in place, it can be easier.
So that's where we're going towards. That's the goal. That's the goal. We'll get there. I know we'll get there. But I will tell you, oh my God, listing it's a whole different beast.
Right.
And this is another thing. I thought I'm really hard on myself, and I had to learn to ease up because when I realized. This is a thing. Most people think that because you're not in the business long enough with a lot of experience, it doesn't make you a good agent. But the pandemic helped my career. Because the pandemic, we all had to get to the starting point. Because we all had to learn how to do this business all over again.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that you have to do anew.
Yes. And so, even though you may have more experience, I'm coming across an agent that's probably had 10 years of experience, 5 years of experience or whatnot. The reality is that they're used to a different market. And so some of the most tenured realtors are having a tough time in this market.
Mm-hmm.
Where for me, this is my norm.
Right.
So I don't have anything to compare it to. So I'm going to use this as my advantage, right? And so so for me right now, it's just like, I don't look at it as just because I'm to less tenure. I really care. That's my thing.
And yeah, so from a market condition standpoint, the rates being as low as they are, it's it's something that people should definitely at least look to take advantage of. Even if you don't think, you'll be surprised. Even if you don't think you qualify right now, at the very least, give a loan officer an opportunity to take a look at your finances and tell you maybe you do qualify, but if you don't, where do you need to go?
Right.
You don't lose anything. You don't, just the fact, even if he tells you that you're not ready to buy right now, just having the information of what you need in order to buy, it's a great opportunity to take advantage of things right now, especially with the rates being as low as they are.
Absolutely. And I think that also, one of the biggest fallacies is that we always think that real estate is an overnight transaction.
Right.
And it's not.
It's not.
So and this is what I go, it's another big question that I ask my first time home buyers, where do you live? Do you have a lease?
Right.
When is it due? And it will never fail that they want it like in 30 days.
Right.
Right? And I'm like, whoa, and we can move, I move as fast as you do.
Right.
But let me educate you on the process, right? And
right.
so at the end of the day, you want to save money, you want to get the best deal. It's going to take some time.
It's going to take some time.
So,
sure.
And it's two big needs in your life.
Right.
That require time and attention. So it could easily be anywhere between 60 to 180 days.
That's right. That's
so
right.
give yourself that opportunity.
The process takes time. I would say to people, start looking a year out. A year out, start the process.
Yeah.
One way or another.
Everyone's in a different situation.
That's right.
Yep.
So if you think you need to buy next year, don't wait 9 months to call your agent, and start with your agent. Honestly, because your agent will help you, or at least unless you know a loan officer yourself that you worked with in the past, start with your agent, because the agent is, he can give you all these options for professionals that they've worked with in the past, especially in the mortgage industry, that can point you in the right direction, and then go from there.
It's funny because my husband right now, he's in the process of purchasing a home. I think my home is going to be like an investment. But anyway, for him, he's in the process of purchasing a home. And we actually met with one of our in-house lenders too. She's from Atlantic Coast Mortgage, which has a really great reputation as
they're great.
Yes,
they're great. As a company, I don't know.
Absolutely,
officer,
yes.
But they're great as a company.
And then that's another thing. Like, I had a really great loan officer, but I didn't like her company. And the thing is, you need the company to make sure that it gets to closing, or else we're doing a lot of extensions, right?
A great company has a great process in place.
Exactly. And so Atlantic Coast Mortgage has a great process in place. So Jamila Rubano is actually my go-to gal here, and she was helping me. And one of the biggest things that I did not know is that you can change your job as long as you're increasing your pay. Right. I thought we had to start all over again because, change it. And that was, I'm learning as the process I'm learning, right? So, but exactly to your point, you want to know and learn all these things.
That's right.
Even a year in advance.
A year in advance.
Yep.
A year in advance. That way you won't feel like you're rushing the process.
Yes.
Yep. That's right. Okay, so how has COVID affected you and your family and your business?
I'm going to use this term really loosely, and I hope I don't offend anyone, but I think COVID really, really saved my life.
Okay, how so?
I learned, I started wanting to be, again, my story is that I stopped my corporate job and became an entrepreneur, overnight, right? And I was in the beginning phase, but I realized as a parent, I can't really move forward if my house is not in order. And with the pandemic, I had to learn. I had to get to know my kids all over again.
Right.
Okay. I got to see their style of learning, and because now I'm homeschooling.
Right.
Okay. So for any realtor that is homeschooling, power to you, because I'm right there with you. Okay. That's another part of our business that's changed, right? So we have to time management's key. And then my relationships, I have a support system, my husband and my mother, and they are awesome. And, I had to learn, I had to spend time with them. I was always on the go. Right. Always on the go. Right. So once I was able to do that, I started to really appreciate things, and I started living life. This year, I think I've made so many changes from interior, exterior, everything, like, is because I have learned to live life, not just survive it.
Okay.
Right?
That's good.
And the pandemic has taught me to slow down. I think all of us. And I gained patience.
Right.
You know, one thing that I had to get adjusted to is I was used to that every 2-week paycheck. You don't have that in real estate.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Okay.
That's right.
So patience is key.
Patience is key.
You know, but
That's
you
right.
treasure it a lot better.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Great answer. I like it. All right, this is gonna wrap it up now. This is obviously is gonna be on social media, YouTube, Facebook, and that stuff. So that I'm gonna put your information below so that people can get in touch with you. But this is also gonna be on Spotify and iTunes, so people can't. There's nothing there. So please give the listeners your contact information if they're looking to buy or sell a house, especially in your area or not. Where you can help them. Tell them how they can get in touch with you.
Yeah, so, obviously cell phone is usually the best choice. It's 703-398-7395. Again, 703-398-7395. We have My Dream Team on Instagram and Facebook as well.
And that's the handle at My Dream Team?
My Dream Team, yep.
Okay.
And you can link into my bio, and I have like a 90-day challenge to home ownership on there. And I have like the most frequent, like a first-time home buyer guide that you can, and it can walk you through process and any questions where all info's all there.
All info's all there?
Yep, My Dream Team, re@gmail.com.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, it's the same name all across the board.
Okay.
So yes.
Perfect. All right, Maty, thank you so much for coming on to my show. It's been great, and I wish you and your team good luck. And I know you're gonna do well, and you serve your clients because you do care. I know you now for a while. And I know that you care about your clients. So anybody out there listening, give her a call, and her team. They're awesome. They'll help you.
Thanks. I know you're gonna cut me off here really quick, but I really want to say this to you really quick. When I was in the transition of becoming an entrepreneur, the dream of doing this change, I used to listen to a podcast called Lewis House School of Greatness, right? I think I presented him to you here, the idea and stuff. And I told myself that the day that I would sit in a podcast is the day that I know I'm on the right track. So this to me is like so surreal because I remember telling myself that in a cubicle in a corporate office.
You're in a podcast
and
now.
I'm in the podcast.
It's my little podcast.
There's nothing little about it because this is how we're helping people.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? This is how we're connecting. We need to connect more. That's right?
Yep.
So thank you so much. This means a lot.
Okay,
really
awesome.
Exciting.
All right, guys. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.